Alright, today we're playing a game where the more useless tips are, the better it is. It's Sharkbite 2. So as you guys probably guessed from the title, I'm going to be giving you guys some professional top tips for Sharkbite 2. Now, Sharkbite 2, as you guys probably know, is a game that I have basically milked the heck out of on my YouTube channel for the last like 2 months or so. Nearly 3 months now. And today, I'm going to be giving you guys my... Shut up, Santa. Yeah, I'm going to be giving you guys my top tips and basically saying what I would buy and what I wouldn't buy from each and every single category. So let's start off with the boats. So obviously you have the 3 default boats. They're pretty self-explanatory. I feel like the best one out of all of them is actually surprisingly the fishing boat. I thought it would be the ducky boat. Never mind. Next up, the sleigh, which is something that is special for the Christmas update, and I'm recording this when the Christmas update is still up, even though it's like, you know, the 11th of January when I'm recording this. Nevertheless, the sleigh I wouldn't recommend buying. It's basically an upgraded version of the fishing boat. I wouldn't recommend buying it, but for the Christmas update, I obviously had to buy it. The unicorn boat, I don't really know, because I mean it doesn't really look that good, and it's probably the cheapest. It used to be the cheapest boat you could buy in the game, and I have seen people who have been using it, and it's really slow. So yeah, the unicorn boat, definitely not worth it. The blue motorboat, however, is sort of like that beginning boat that like I feel like I should have even bought when I first started playing Sharkbite 2, because it's actually pretty decent. And whilst I haven't tested it out myself, considering, you know, it's basically, you know, it's a slight upgrade from the unicorn boat, and in my opinion it's sort of that boat that like beginner players kind of need to buy. So yeah, I would definitely recommend buying the blue wooden motorboat. The gingerbread steamboat, however, is garbage. If there was anything I would want removed from the Christmas update, it would be this. And obviously, you know, Santa Jaws, but this is probably the worst boat they've ever added to Sharkbite 2. It's huge, it like barely has any handling, its speed is just about enough to outdo the default Shark. It might not even be that fast, so yeah. In my opinion, the gingerbread steamboat, definitely not worth 400 presents. The donut tube boat is also another one of those boats that I would recommend to sort of beginner players, and I mean, it's like only increased in size, and it allows a lot of people on the boat. So if you have like a lot of friends, this is probably the first boat I would recommend you get. And it's not bad either. Next up is the Viking Longship. Now this is a ship that a lot of people have, and it's definitely got enough space for 12 people on it. Now, its handling isn't bad, and obviously, you know, the speed is pretty decent, so this is another boat that's sort of like, I would recommend to beginners. So, either the blue motorboat, I feel like should be the first boat that you buy, and then maybe the Viking Longship. Next up is the small dinghy motorboat. Now, this is something that I feel like you should use for grinding. So if you're just, you know, just grinding Sharkbite 2, this is the boat I would recommend using first. If you really want to grind, this is the boat that I would recommend you use first. As this is, it's fast enough to outdo the default Shark, not including, you know, like all its buffs. Not including its like speed boost, so ultimately, the small dinghy motorboat, definitely worth buying. The sloop, however, it's not great, honestly. Like, it has the same speed as the small dinghy motorboat, but it has terrible handling, and it's also very big, so it's very easy for the shark to hit. Definitely something I would recommend if you want to do it with your friends, and it is the same boat as the fun boat, which seems to have disappeared from the lobby ever since the Christmas update was added. And as you guys know, the fun boat has been something that me and my friends have had a lot of fun with, so definitely not something you would buy for just general Sharkbite 2, But if you want to play with your friends, then I would definitely recommend buying this. Next up is the tour boat. Now, this is something that I've actually showcased myself. It's not that great. I mean, it's faster than the default Shark, but only just. Its size is pretty big, and it has a very decent glass thing here, which allows you to see, like, right to the bottom of the ocean. But ultimately, it's not that great, and I definitely wouldn't recommend buying it. It's definitely one of those friendly boats that you spend time with your friends on. But yeah, not something that you should use in normal Sharkbite 2. The tugboat, huge, basically the exact same as the tour boat. Definitely not worth buying. At least for like general Sharkbite 2. I've seen a YouTuber use this and it is awful. Next up, the Canopy motorboat. Not something that you would use with your friends, although it does have decent amount of space. And its handling is amazing, its speed is amazing, and it's quite small, so ultimately, the Canopy motorboat might be a boat that I might just showcase in the future, and we'll see how good or bad it is. And in my opinion, it might actually be pretty decent. I know my friend Fugal has it, so yeah, definitely something that we will showcase in the future. The snowmobile, I haven't even bought yet, but it's supposedly the exact same as the jet ski, but with snow, of course. And ultimately, it's probably not that bad. I've seen people using it, and yeah, it's not that bad. Not really sure how it's supposed to work on water, but hey ho, it's Sharkbite 2. You can never expect anything. The Catamaran. This is a boat that was in the original Sharkbite, but it kind of got a downgrade in Sharkbite 2, and ultimately isn't that good. It's again one of those like friendly boats where you wouldn't play this game with the Catamaran unless you had your friends, so definitely not worth buying. Duck Marine, however, despite the fact it's not fast and it doesn't have, and it's very small and you can't fit that many people on it, definitely something that I wouldn't recommend buying, as I have seen a lot of people who have used it and they've all ended up dying from it, so ultimately not really worth it. Oh god, I just got put into a game. Hold on. And ultimately, the Duck Marine, I don't think it's really worth 3,000, but if you really want that like submarine feeling, then the Duck Marine is definitely something I would go for. I know a lot of people like it. I don't really, so it's everyone's choice, and it's definitely something that like people should at least I would recommend trying, but not using for like general sort of Sharkbite. The jet ski, definitely worth it. It's a little bit glitchy at the moment. I believe they fixed that actually. But yeah, the jet ski, definitely worth buying. If there's any boat I would recommend grinding with, it would be this. And this was the boat that basically helped me with most of my videos. I grinded for so long with this thing, and I could not tell you how much it helped me, so definitely worth buying. The Marlin, though, worth 18,000. It is the fastest boat in the game. I personally wouldn't say it would be worth 18,000. I will definitely be doing a video on this at some point. Maybe that'll be coming this week, I don't know. But it's definitely an interesting video idea, and I will definitely get onto it at some point. And yeah, the Marlin, I would say, I wouldn't say it's worth 18,000, but it's definitely decent. The combat boat. This is an interesting one, because it basically gives you a free turret and a decent bow. Ultimately, I think it's worth 21,000, albeit it's probably hard to use, but it would be amazing if you had it, and I know a lot of people like this one, so ultimately, I think the combat boat, and it lasts a very long time against the Shark, so ultimately, the combat boat is probably the best boat in the entire game, other than maybe like the warship. Next up is the military submarine, and this is something that me and my friend Deluxel tested out a little bit. Unfortunately, we weren't able to really use it to its full extent, unfortunately, as he had to leave, so. But it's got huge size, its handling isn't great, and doesn't have great speed, but you can do a lot of damage to the Shark in this thing, especially if you have like more than 10 people in it, because you can fit more than 10 people in it. And ultimately, it's amazing for like just killing the Shark. If you really want to get that many Shark teeth, then this is probably what I would recommend using. Although the combat boat would probably be better, and I don't think it's worth 25,000. So definitely not worth 25,000. But it would certainly be a thing to have. It's like, you know, this kind of proves that you're a pro at the game. All right, next up is the guns. So flintlock default gun, you have that from the beginning. It's not great, but it's a default gun for sure. Next up, the rifle. Definitely something I would recommend. Even though it doesn't have as good of rate, it has much better accuracy, and ultimately, it's essentially just an upgraded version of the flintlock. So ultimately, I think the rifle is definitely worth buying. I wish I bought this sooner. And I still haven't bought it yet, so... Next up, the paintball gun. Probably not worth 700, but it's certainly a, I wouldn't say it's worth 700, and in my opinion, it's probably worse than the rifle. I mean, if you have a look, like, the only advantage that you really get from it is the rate that you can fire at. So ultimately, I don't think the paintball gun is worth it. I would not recommend buying the paintball gun. The water balloon gun, or the water balloon launcher, I've already seen someone use this in a video. I'm not ever going to use this in a video. I don't even have plans to. Unless I like really run out of video ideas, then I don't see myself buying this. It's really not that great, and I would not recommend buying it. Thompson gun, definitely worth it. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but it has a huge rate and very good accuracy. In my opinion, this should be one of the guns that you use for grinding. And ultimately, I think the Thompson gun is very much worth it. This was the first gun I ever bought, and it was for a good reason. Next up, the double-barreled flintlock. Again, this is sort of like an upgraded version of the flintlock. Definitely not worth 3,000, unless it has like some kind of, you know, special thing that it does that I'm not aware of. Maybe it's actually pretty decent. I don't know. I might do a video on this in the future. Might do. Next up, the harpoon. Definitely worth buying, that's for sure. Maybe not worth 4,000, but I would say the harpoon gun is decent. I saw someone in my comment section say that the harpoon was good, and I've seen someone use it, so definitely worth buying. Maybe not worth 4,000, but definitely, it's definitely a good gun, and probably a gun I might even do a whole video on in the future. Coconut launcher. This is basically just a downgraded version of the rocket launcher. Definitely not worth 6,000. It's just absolutely terrible. I would even say that the flintlock is better than this. Like, this is stupid. Next up, the rocket launcher. This one is kind of broken, in my opinion, but it's honestly not that bad. Whilst its rate is really slow, it's not too slow. I've used the rocket launcher in most of my videos now. It has pretty good accuracy, and the damage is obviously the maximum in the entire game. And in my opinion, it's probably the best gun in the game. Just, you have to, like, shoot forwards. I don't know why, but you just have to shoot forwards. Because for some reason, you can't shoot backwards. I even tried that, and it didn't work, so. The rocket launcher, it certainly has problems, but it's honestly not bad. I would definitely recommend buying the rocket launcher at some point. Next up, the Shark Blaster. Probably worth it, but I've seen someone do a video on it, and they said it wasn't worth it. This is something like only really buy if you have like tons of shark teeth that you just have to spare, and you just want to consider yourself a pro, and so this is what you would buy. I will likely do a video on this. Actually, this might be the video I'll do this week. I'll upload a video on Monday, which will be about the Shark Blaster. I promise you guys that. Unless they like add something new that's like I have to buy. This is definitely gonna happen at some point. Next up, the sharks. So the great white default shark, you obviously have that at the beginning of the game. Not great, and you want to move on from it as quickly as possible. The Christmas shark. I haven't really had much experience with the Christmas shark. I know someone used it. It's basically just a much faster version of the Christmas shark. Well, it sounds like drama's going on around me. And there's a balloon inside of a building. And now Santa Jaws is complaining. Christmas shark, definitely something is to be considered. If anything, like if you've if you've gotten enough presents to buy it, then I would definitely buy it. It's sort of like that shark that you use for grinding, and it only costs presents, so it's definitely worth buying while it's still here. The bull shark. I haven't had as much experience with it, and it's just a downgraded version of the Christmas shark. It might even be a downgraded version of the great white, but it's probably not too bad. But I mean, it's the smallest. I mean, it's the second smallest shark, so it's not terrible, but it's not great either. The great hammerhead shark, definitely worth it. I feel like almost everyone has this shark at this point. Like most people who play Sharkbite 2 have this shark, apart from maybe the default shark. Definitely worth buying once you can afford it. It is 1,500, so it's the same as the Thompson gun. And yeah, this would probably be like the first decent shark that anyone would ever get. Next up, the short-fin Mako. Definitely not worth it, but it is really fast. So it's kind of hard to control. And it has eyes that are deeper than the abyss. So yeah, definitely not worth 4,500, and I wouldn't recommend buying it. I know a lot of people like it. I personally don't like it. And it doesn't have a lot of health, as it's very small, so it's hard to hit. But yeah, in my opinion, it's not really worth it. I would definitely, at this point, save up for the killer whale orca, which by far is the best shark in the game, no doubt. In my opinion, if there was anything I wouldn't want removed from Sharkbite 2, it would be this. They could remove literally almost everything, and I would be happy to keep this. It has the maximum amount of health for a shark. Its size is huge, so it destroys a lot. Whilst it is easy to hit, it destroys a lot, and the speed is decent enough to catch basically any boat, including the marlin. So yeah, definitely worth buying. It's definitely worth 8,000. Next up, we have the boat builders. So first up is the default one. Yeah, definitely, it's definitely something that you should get like when you just start Sharkbite 2. Apart from maybe like, I think this is the best default boat there is. Like, I don't think there's any other default boat that will be better than this. So next up, the pirate ship. Definitely not worth it. If you saw my video on it, you know how I'm going to respond to this. Definitely not worth buying. It is just dreadful. Like, it is probably the worst the worst boat, and probably the worst. It's definitely worth how much it costs. Let's just say that. Next up is the hovercraft. Definitely worth buying. Out of all boats, like, this is another one that you should probably use for grinding. Faster than the default shark. Great handling. Small size, so you can easily avoid the shark. Ultimately, I'm considering myself and like, how did I not buy this before? I did a video on this, and it was amazing. So ultimately, I would buy the hovercraft. It's honestly amazing. Next up, the super yachts. Or the sport yachts, sorry. This is a fantastic representation of human psychology. Like, anyone who buys this will probably just think that they're just rich. So yeah, definitely not worth 9,000. Definitely not. Next up, the speedboat. This is the boat that I am currently using in Sharkbite 2, and it's definitely worth getting. It's definitely worth 14,000. It's one of the it might even, I think it's like just slower than the Marlin, and it allows you to have like other people on your boat if you place seats here. Yeah, definitely worth it. I would honestly buy this boat. However, I wouldn't buy this boat if you don't have the Marlin. I would buy the Marlin if you're saving up for a fast boat. Buy the jet ski and then save up for the Marlin. Don't buy the speedboat unless you like have like a lot of friends and you want to all be on like one fast boat. So I wouldn't buy the speedboat if you don't have a lot of friends, which I don't have a lot of friends, but they often join me. So And finally, we have the frigate warship. I've seen so many videos of this on YouTube, and ultimately, it's not that great. It has terrible handling, has huge size, so it's easy for the shark to hit it. I've even gone on it myself. Yeah, it's just awful. It does have the maximum amount of space though, and it has, you know, it takes the shark a couple of hits to actually damage it, and you can fit a lot of people on here, and ultimately, like, this should be the last thing that you buy in Sharkbite 2. Like, honestly, do not buy it if you don't have a lot of shark teeth. And I guess that will do it for this video. So thank you all so much for watching. Hope you all did enjoy. Don't forget to subscribe. So, oh my god, Santa Jaws! Anyway, leave a like, subscribe, slap the bell, and come back in 2 days for the next video. Comment down below what to do next, share with a friend, you know what to do, guys. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Also, finally, I've been able to get my mouse cursor on my video. Finally. Bye!